Is this thing on? Is it? Hold up. Is this thing on? I think it's on. Yes. All right. Well, hello, all of my beautiful subscribers and friends and fellow human beings, every soul, every spirit, every body watching this out there. Welcome. I love you. I don't know who you are, but I'm starting to, and you know what? I care. I care. Okay, so I welcome you to this video and I'm happy that you're here. There is just so much time needed with these things. There are so many videos to watch. There's so much content out there. Like, how do you choose what video to click on? How do you choose what video to click on? Well, I can tell you this, that if the person talking to you can connect with you and has compassion and genuinely wants to know that you're there and wants to see your feedback, that's a good video, and I can promise you that's something I will always do. I want to be not dry, not, on the surface. I want to dive deep, and I really want to connect with everybody like family. Like, just because we're over a screen right now and we're not together doesn't mean I don't feel you, It doesn't mean I don't connect with you and I don't sense your essence and your needs and your energy that you're sending out to me and the energy that I'm sending out to you. So you know what? That's how I like to start these videos out. Anyways, so this video is going to be about the two hardest, deepest thorns to remove or to transform in you going through pure OCD, somatic OCD recovery, pretty much any form of OCD. And this is such a broad term, acceptance and doubt. They're so broad that they could be applied to anything in your life. Whether or not it's a goal, whether or not it's a dream, whether or not it's an adversity, a health issue, or just a practical matter. It just transcends so farther than this. So the things I'm going to talk about in this video, you can take with you to other aspects of life. It's not just with OCD, it's not just with mental health. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about, and I try to make this scene a little prettier because, as you know, my studio, I just don't have the budget yet to get the studio totally together and beautiful. So I'm just trying to create my own. I got a fireplace, hello. And honestly, just let me show you all this quick. Just come out here, just for a second. This is what I'm talking about. Look at this FedEx worker. This is what we've got to deal with out here, people. This is Duluth, Minnesota. I can't do anything. Neither can this guy. And I work for the post office and I have the day off and I'm glad. Like, I cannot do what I need to do. This winter is just so extreme, guys. Everybody out there that lives in Florida and California, please be grateful. Count your blessings. Man. So these two subjects are a really big deal. Acceptance and doubt. What exactly are those two things? So, first of all, I want to say that before you can do anything else for yourself, so we've got to take like 500 steps back to the very beginning of when we first started experiencing these things. And at that time, we didn't, most of us did not know what we were going through. We didn't exactly understand the symptoms. We didn't know if we were having something more severe, something more than OCD, or if it was just all in our head and it wasn't anything. It's so hard to point out. It's so hard to find where were we on this spectrum? Where are we on these spectrums? And when we first begin the process, like when we first experiencing these things, we can think anything. We can think that we are done for. We can think that we don't have anything and that we just don't want to deal with it, and that it's hard to accept. So it's easy to fall on a scale that is incorrect on this, that is just not in a good place. Like, I can't do any of this, or I shouldn't have to do any of this. Like, meaning I'm so screwed, or I don't have anything wrong with me. I'm good. I don't want to deal with that stigma, because that is what I did when I first went through this. Is I did not accept that I was going through it. I was like, no way, Jose. Not today, not tomorrow, not the next day. I do not have this. I'm not going to deal with it. I kept forcing it out. I literally forced my thoughts away. I forced these awarenesses away. And it made it worse. It made it so much worse. It just forced it to come back, basically, because we all know that forcing these thoughts out, being unnatural and just not accepting what we're going through at all, is not going to solve anything. It's going to make it worse. It's going to create that mess in us. It's going to basically leave this unresolved for a longer period of time. And the longer that this is just left unresolved, left like in limbo, the more limbo will be created and the more we will find ourselves lost. So we have to be able to find a balance and to be like, okay, like I know what I'm going through. We need to be able to accept deeply in us that we are going through OCD and nothing more, because it is so simple to worry about having schizophrenia, to having some other horrible mental illness that is going to overtake us and cause us to be screwed even more than we are now. That's just not true. That is an OCD intrusive thought in of itself. We have to understand that these thoughts can go, that these intrusive thoughts that we experience can have a spectrum as well. So we can have the OCD thoughts, ones that are totally crazy, ones that we know are not real. Well, we hope, right? We hope we don't identify with those things that we experience, because it's very easy to, but we cannot. I've talked about that many times in my videos, previous ones. And so it's so simple to like fall into like, how do I even recognize what these thoughts, which thoughts are real and which ones aren't? And so that's when it can get tricky, because these intrusive thoughts, these ritualistic, what's the word I'm looking for? These impulsive, compulsive thoughts that we have can be sometimes realistic. They can sometimes be ones that we genuinely think of, like, wow, okay, do I have that? Like, is that real, man? Wait, what? It's so simple to not be able to tell the difference, because, like I said, we can have ones that are crazy, ones that were like, hell no, no way, Jose, like, no way. And then we could have ones that are like, do I have something worse? Like, wait a minute, do I really want to do that? Do I have, is this really what I'm going through? What if I have this? What if I have that? Oh no, I'm a special, something's going on. Like, it's very easy to have those suspect what if thoughts that are still symptoms of the same disorder. They are not something different. They're not real thoughts. They're not genuine thoughts that are coming from like our heart, that are coming from the place of truth in ourselves through this, because that area of truth in ourselves doesn't just go away. It doesn't just disappear. So it's genuinely something that we have to be able to identify, be able to discern these thoughts. And so my take on it is that anytime you have a thought that comes into your head that is a thought of doubt, a thought of resistance, a thought of a fleeting thought, a thought that comes in with an energy that wants you to run away, that is like fleeting, that causes you to be like, like, oh no, what if I have, that type of thing, that automatically is an OCD thought. That's automatically a thought to not identify with. It's just so simple to be like, wait a minute, it's so simple to like not be able to tell that difference and miss the mark, and start to hone in and start to think, entertain, and give energy to those thoughts that are thoughts of doubt, because thoughts of doubt are part of this disorder. It's inherent. It's going to be intrinsically part of it, meaning naturally, foundationally, fundamentally part of this disorder. And then we have the thoughts that are totally wild, that are just not something that we ever would do, or something that shocks us to the core. So it's like we have the ones that are subtle and the ones that are like a bull in the china shop. So we have ones that are hard to see and ones that are hard to miss. And so we have to be able to find and discern those two and meet in the middle and be like, okay, what is really going on? What is the truth here? And that is the hardest thing to do. It took me years to be able to do that, but let me tell you, you can and you will. It's just going to take time, and the only way to do that truly is to start out your days, to start out with this whole process, start over with the energy of acceptance, with the energy of humbleness. Because if we aren't humble through this, we will freak out. We will have more of that rush of anxiety, we'll have more of resistance, because when we're not humble, we don't want to ever even think for a second we're going through anything like this. We want to think that we're better than this. We want to think that we are above this completely, and that why should I have to go through this? Like, why am I going through this and somebody else isn't? Like, blah, blah, blah. It's just so simple to start to think like, I know that this never was supposed to happen to me, and I just don't want to accept it, and I'm not going to. And yet you're still dealing with the symptoms. You're still dealing with the same things that are really causing you issues. And when we're in that state of mind, we can't solve it. We can't process what we're going through. We instead go at our whim and use what we think we know to solve these things, which is actually making it worse and driving the disorder deeper in us and causing it to stick around longer, and it's going to cause this whole process to be more difficult. So we have to start out with the essence of acceptance and the essence of humbleness in this. And so when we do that, it gives us a chance to truly realize that, okay, I'm not really going through something that's that bad. Like, I could be going through something much, much worse, and it could be debilitating even more than this. It could be physically debilitating. It could be so bad that I couldn't even have a chance to watch this YouTube video. Like, there are people out there going through things that can't even go on YouTube because of what they're going through. We need to think about these things. We have to maintain a perspective, because if we don't maintain that perspective, we're going to lose the truth. We're going to lose that perspective that we need, and start to think things that are just false, that are way beyond what we're going through, or way under what we're going through. We need to realize where we're at and accept it and face it. We have to face this fear once and for all, because if we don't, the more we brush it under the rug, the more we blow it up from a molehill to a mountain, it's not gonna be good. It's gonna keep bothering us. It's gonna keep being difficult. So here's a note that I wrote. And so if I'm looking at my phone, I'm just reading this note that I wrote. And what I like to do is I like to just write these thoughts down right in the middle of my day, right when I have them come to me, and so I don't forget them. And that's something that I recommend you to do, is to write down these thoughts that are bothering you and classify them as your OCD thoughts, and literally just write them down and don't look at them again, and delete them. And write down the ones that are truthful, the ones that uplift you, the ones that are like, you're like, wow, I wish I could think that all the time. Write that down and don't delete that. Remind yourself of that every day, and revisit that. Look at that more often. Okay, so this is what I wrote about acceptance and doubt. So, the utter importance of acceptance in mental illness. Acknowledge your struggle, but at the same time, acknowledge your recovery and healing. We have to we need to be at that point where we're accepting we have this, but we are not denying our recovery. We're not denying our ability to overcome this. We're not denying our strength. We're not doubting that. So acceptance does not equal doubt in your recovery. So yes, this journey with OCD sucks, and it is not how I want nor will forever be in operation. But it is not foreign in me. OCD is a part of me, one that now bothers me, but is not permanent. It is a thorn I must soothe, with each passing day breaking off a thistle. So think about that this is something that is part of us now, and that we need to turn it into something that uplifts us, something that benefits us, and that's something makes us smarter and stronger, because what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. That's a huge, huge saying right now. Always, every day. So now, we must accept that this thorn cannot be removed completely, but instead, we must turn it into a vein. So, one that works with us, one that we cannot feel pain from and sometimes don't notice at all, which is currently how I am. And it's like, because I know that I still have Puro, I know I still have somatic OCD, but I know I don't, that doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me that I know I still have it in me somewhere, and that it can spring back up once in a blue moon. Instead, it's not a thorn anymore. I view it as a vein, because all the thistles are chopped off. and that I'm able to understand how it works in me and how I control it and not how it controls me anymore. So like a diamond in the rough, for now we are an agate in the tumbler. We just need time and some new ingredients. This is me. This is us. This is who we are. In a constantly evolving state, no color can define us. No society can define. No disorder can define. No assumption or conclusion can define us. No stigma can define this at all. But love can, and God can. We can with God, absolutely. And no matter what comes our way, we will flourish inside and out. This is the energy to hold in you, I'm telling you. No matter what faces you, the essence of resilience and the essence of belief and acceptance is everything. It is the only way. It is the only road. There is no other road down to go down. Everything else is a lie. It's an illusion. And it's just so simple to think that we can't do things without God, or that we can do it on our own. And I don't care what your belief is. At this point, you don't have anything to lose by seeking God. You don't have anything to lose by asking God for help. It's not about condemnation. It's not about not being good enough. It's not about being perfect at all. Get that out of your head. It's about love. It's about trust. It's about acceptance. It's about faith and just truly believing in something better than us, believing in something more powerful than this world. And you got to ask yourself, do you want to believe that? A lot of times people don't have a problem with belief, they just don't choose that belief. And what I love to say, and something that I'm going to put in this video, if it'll let me with copyright, is this talk that one of the members from Hillsong wrote. And he was speaking it at his concert, and it's about how we need to change our attitude from I could if I would to I could if I would. I could if I would. Meaning, it's your choice. You have to initialize it. You can because you will, not you can't because you won't. Not you can't because you can't. You can't because you won't. You have to realize that the power of our choice is incredibly powerful. Like, in it, that choice is never taken from us. And when it is, that is the only time to really worry, but that's typically not going to happen to the average person, meaning somebody who's like in a coma, somebody who is in a situation that they literally are incapacitated, like people who can't even go on YouTube. I already mentioned this. So we have to realize that we still have the power of choice at our fingertips. We are still independent. We still have the ability to gain this confidence in us and to truly embrace that spirit of confidence and to choose it always. That is huge for us. We have to realize that we can't take that for granted. We can't act like we don't have that power of choice still at our fingertips. We do. It's just incredibly important. And so I'm not saying that you need to accept God and you need to believe in Him today. It's just that the point is that what I'm trying to make is that humbling yourself by choosing that and by choosing better and by every day waking up and stepping your foot down and saying, no, I will believe and I will choose in my ability to overcome these things and to accept, experience, and evolve into something better and to accept help that is out there for me, spiritually or practically. It's basically something you have to work towards. It's something that you have to initialize in yourself and say, yes, I would, so I'm going to. And it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's so powerful. And I truly have to give credit to Jesus Christ for what He's done for me and for everything that I feel inside of me, because man, I can't lie about these things. I can't make it up. I have no reason to, I only want to help you guys, and I only want to encourage faith and encourage you to practice that. Because if you practice faith and spirituality, if you practice faith and love and in truly believing, then that will help you with yourself as well. That will help you to gain that power and ability within yourself to believe you're good and not to believe the bad that you think is in you or the bad that you might experience or can emulate or can manifest or create that is essentially just a shell of bad. There's nothing in it. There's no core. There's no power. It just can scare us. It can just seem like it's there, but it's not. We have to remember that we can just obliterate that and get rid of it and replace it with something beautiful and good. Good energy, good thoughts, what we want, things that align with our soul, our mind, our body, our hearts, and our spirit. And I'm telling you, if I could go from where I was to where I am now, and that was before I even realized God was there. It was before all of that. It was simply just shifting myself to being positive like this. Like that was one of the first things I did. And then acceptance came after that. Man, I know you can too. If I could just do that simple change, those are the changes we've got to make. And so now I want to say one last thing on doubt. So how do you deal with repeated doubt? I'm sorry, I've got to turn this off. I am hot as hell. Man, I got the windows open. This thing is warm. It's on the lowest setting. Like, extreme. Snowplow, hey dude. So, how do I deal with repeated doubt? So like, I like to view it as like those little attacks that come up that you're like feeling so good. You're in that spirit of confidence. You totally are all good. You're groovy, man. Like, that's how I feel a lot. Like, I really feel like, man, like I'm good. I don't even have any reason to have any doubt. But what we got to realize is that doubt comes subconsciously, comes from our subconscious. It comes from a deeply in us. Like, it really is the biggest thorn to remove is doubt. And like I said, we can't remove it, so we have to learn to live with it. We have to learn to eradicate it the best that we can, or at least calm it down and get it back into its dormant state in us, because eventually, maybe sometime in our life, we won't have any more doubt. But I don't want to like make that the goal yet, because that's just shooting so high to like eliminate all your doubt and you shouldn't experience any more of it. But instead, I want to say how to not be afraid and to not fear this doubt in us, and to learn to view that doubt as petty, minuscule, and powerless over us, because that is what it is. That is the truth. So what I do throughout the day-to-day, it's very simple, is when I experience thoughts of doubt, when I'm like, oh, like what if that's real? Like what I do is, and these things can happen in the middle of your day, right when you wake up, right before you go to bed. It does not matter. We have to be prepared for it always. And it's not going to come when you choose it to. So what I do is that it's just like any other intrusive thought. It's just like any other thought process that is not one that is healthy and that is of the PRO, of OCD in general, is I recognize it. I accept that it's there. So I'm like, okay, all right, so I'm experiencing a little bit of doubt, and I'm like, I experience it in my body. I don't resist it anywhere, physically or mentally. And then I simply observe it, and I don't judge it, and I'm like, okay, this thought, this is doubt, and this is happening right now. I recognize it, but I don't give it any energy, don't give it any, it's if we channel our energy in on that, if we start to if we pick it up in our minds, and if we say, hey, like, okay, wow, this doubt is here, let's give it some attention, let's look into that, let's argue with this doubt, let's grapple, let's have a quarrel with the doubt, let's try to get rid of it actively. That is not what to do. That is what you do not do. So that is how it then gets more of our life energy, more of our energy is in on that doubt, and that automatically makes it bigger. That automatically is going to go do the opposite of what we intend with thinking in and trying to like combat that doubt. Like, we can't do that, because that is the fundamental law of how these thoughts work, of how this pure OCD works, is that if we give energy and power to these thoughts, they will have energy and power on us. Duh. Like, it's so simple, really. All of this seems so complicated and complex, but really it's not that. It's actually very fundamental and simple. Best coffee ever. Anyways, so it's when that happens, we have to get down that skill, that path to take, and that's to recognize it, accept that it's there, and literally do nothing more and let it go. And we have to, even if it hangs on, even if it's bugging you in the back of your mind, even if it's screaming at you to be like, hey, doubt, hey, I'm doubt, my name's doubt, and I want you to, you know, try to put me in the front of your mind instead of the back. Hey, I'm here. We have to literally be like, anyways, what was I doing? You know, like, that is what I mean. And I don't know how to explain it very well. Like, it's hard to articulate these things, so bear with me. But it's not impossible. And so anytime that you notice that you're holding that thought in your head and adding things to it and thinking, whether that's combating it or believing it, both of those are wrong. Both of those are just your answer. No, you're not doing the right thing. That's what you don't want to do. So what you do want to do is literally, like, naturally let your mind go to something else, and just to not force it out, but don't give it anything extra. Don't think into that doubt. We have to judge it only one time. Like, and so it's easy to say, like, we can't judge the thoughts at all, but we have to at least recognize them, and that does include one moment of judgment, and that's basically to have a proper discernment and a proper judgment, being, okay, I know that this thought is doubt, and I know that it's trying to get me to shake that foundation that I'm in, and that's trying to get me to uproot myself from this truth and go back into this illusion, fake, false, like, worried, scary reality that I was in, and it's just so bogus. It's just not going to happen. And so that is what we have to recognize, because if we don't recognize the doubt, we're at more of a risk of being outwitted by it and being deceived by it again. And so we have to recognize that the doubt is a voice of deception in us, and that what I'm telling you right now, this truth of accepting that it's there and of letting it go and literally, like, unplugging it and draining it down the drain and not giving any energy, that is the voice of truth. That is the truth. And the truth is always going to be harder. It's always going to be harder to go with the truth, with the rawness, the realness of our reality. Even if it's beautiful, even if it's good, it's still harder to reach and move that mountain of doubt and to hop on that mountain of truth and to reach the peak of that truth. It's going to be harder. It's always going to be a little bit more effort than it is to fall into the trap of deception. If you haven't noticed, that's what most of the world is in. That's what most of us are in, is we are deceived by something. We are being lied to. We are being told these certain things matter so much in our life, when in fact it's a totally different track and things are going totally different places, and we don't even know what we're supporting sometimes. It's just, we have to take a stance and be like, no, this is the truth, and I'm done being deceived. You have to step your foot down and find that part of yourself and not be afraid of it. Even if it's painful, even if it's a little bit more work, do it. It's worth it. And it's just like, it's uncorruptible, yet OCD is going to try to corrupt it. You have to be ready that when you start this process, it's going to upset your OCD. It's going to be like, it's going to try to corrupt that and trying to get you to not do these things. But it's really not that hard to just blast through all that and move with the burning fire in you towards this truth that is true. And that the number one way to keep your number one compass in this, so your GPS in all this, is that if whatever you're doing, whatever you're thinking is anything less than love, if it's anything less than good, if it's anything less than building yourself up in your life, than moving towards healing, if it's anything less than this beautiful truth, if it's anything less than that love, if it's anything that is leading you to despair, leading you to fear or anxiety or depression, it is false. That is, you're off track. Anything, that is in those realms, automatically, nope, that's not true. It's false. It's not where you're supposed to be. Don't be afraid of it. So don't apply a stigma to those things. But basically, it's recognized, like, that little light bulb goes off in your head and it's like, okay, great. I'm able to tell these things. That right there is all I need to know, is that discernment is power and it's truth and it has an essence to it as well. And that's the only thing to really recognize and to focus on that, the confidence and the goodness that is, just that very act, and to not fear these things and to not apply any power to them. We have to remember that if we're giving power to anything that is bringing us down, that is deception, that is the OCD, that is the mental illness. And anything that's leading us up, anything that is good, anything that is uplifting us and helping us pull ourselves out of this into the light, that is truth. That is the where we want to go. And so I hope that helps you discern these things better and to accept and deal with doubt better and more in improved ways, because it's an everyday process. Every single day I wake up and I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn something new about this. I'm going to experience something new, or I'm going to keep doing what I was doing and already experiencing, but better. And I'm going to do something improved. I'm going to refine something more today. I'm going to break off another thistle. And it's going to turn into a vein that works for me and that works for others and that builds life and love. Because God, the essence of life, wants you to admit love and to construct things out of love and truth and light, and not anything less than that. God will never lead us down a path that is not absolutely wonderful and beautiful for us, and that doesn't flourish us. And it's always something that we can trust. It is always something good. It doesn't mean it's always going to be something that we can understand perfectly. It's not always something that's going to look glamorous to us, but there is always a grain of truth. There's always a silver lining to never discredit and to really find. And everyone's walk is different in this. Everybody's is different. I can't say that this person, and me had all the same experiences and this worked for us, and so, but these people had this, and there's no groups, but there is a generalization, and we're all slightly different. We all have a slightly different path to take and a slightly different curtailed regime of recovery steps to apply to ourselves, so if that makes sense. And so feel free to comment things that don't work for you, things that you're not understanding, and improvements that I could make, because I really want to be more articulate and to talk better and to have a better vocabulary and to really get more content out for you guys. I'm trying so hard. This is something else that I'm praying about, something else that I'm working on with God, is to find more time for this, because I love this so much. I love to be here for you guys and to create content. My heart is so full, my cup is overflowing, and I want to give what's overflowing to you guys. I really do. And this is what God does for you, is He brings you from a spot in your life where you have little and where you're suffering to a place where you're so filled with joy and overflowing in goodness that He wants you to give it to others for His glory. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing, and we just got to start out by humbling ourselves. And yeah, but I have that spirituality video coming up because it's so important, it's imperative to understand these things and to at least consider them, and to understand how spirituality is connected with our lives, our beings, and this disorder, and so many other things. So that is my final message, is that I'm always trying, and I'm sorry guys if I don't get to your comments and your messages and your requests soon enough, but I always will. I will never ignore, and I will never just leave somebody behind. It might be a little bit longer than you and I would prefer, but that is going to improve, I pray, in the next couple of months. Once this winter, this crazy job I have is a little bit less. So yeah, just don't work for the post office if you have a YouTube channel. That's kind of what I have discovered, but I know I'm there for a reason. I need to stick out with this job for a little bit longer. So thank you so much for bearing with me and subscribing. Thank you for being here. I'm very grateful for you guys. I just want us to be a community, and I want to grow this, and I want to really bring awareness, and I want to help everybody in the world with this, with the spots they're in, and with this darkness that can be these people that are out there that are still wrapped up in this darkness and not even realizing the truth and the light that is right in front of them, that is right there for them to reach out and take for themselves. So that's my final message for this one. I can't wait to get my next spirituality video out. It's going to be amazing. I'm trying to make that a lot more stunning than me sitting in front of the fireplace. So, yeah. Like I said, comment. Let me know if you guys have any more questions about this. But just remember that acceptance needs to happen first to eliminate doubt. And that we have to realize that they're both harbingers, meaning that they're going to bring something else. And that, whether good or bad. And so, that is huge. So anyways, guys, I hope your 2019 is going super good. We're almost in March. It's crazy how fast the month is moving by already. February. So, yeah. Peace out.